What's up, everyone? Welcome to the first episode of Life After Strange right here on Player One versus the World. And my first guest doesn't need any introduction, but I will give her one. She is none other than the voice of Max Caulfield, and it is Telle. Hannah, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm great. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
It's my pleasure to have you on first as well. Like, honestly, it's really nice to catch up with you. For some context as well, for anyone watching, me and Hannah spoke 5 years ago, just when Life is Strange was coming out. I think 4 episodes had come out. So we're talking for the first time in 5 years. So it's been quite a long time. And with that, that goes into our first question, which is, so straight off the bat, 5 years have passed. Max's story has gone through the first game. You came back and played Max for farewell. What's the immediate feeling like knowing that that journey started 5 years ago?
In certain ways, it feels like it was just yesterday, and then in other ways, it feels like a lifetime ago. But I'll never forget how thrilling and exciting and also anxiety-ridden the whole process was for me. Like, it was a very exciting but scary to have that responsibility to make sure that I did the best job that I could.
It was an amazing performance, and it's a testament to how the fans reacted to it. And like specifically on Max, what was the one feature that you really liked about Max? And was there anything that you wish that the developers had like focused on more about Max, like a particular theme or like a feature of her?
Well, I really admired Max's humility and her empathy, and I thought that although she had been given these powers, she never became an egomaniac or anything. Like, she was trying to help others and do the right thing, and I just really admired her and her strong moral code I felt that she had. That she has the capacity to have, because you do make choices throughout the game, but I don't know, I felt like she inherently was a really good person. But I do wish they would have focused a little bit more on where her powers came from and why her, and maybe like her background a little bit to what happened to make her have these powers. So I thought that was like an interesting story that he didn't get to flesh out.
Okay. So, one of my interesting things about Max's story for me is the doe. So the doe reoccurs throughout the entirety of Max's story. And that's a very loose interpretation of like how people have seen it. Some people see it as Rachel Amber's spirit animal. There are other theories about it. But from what I know, I've never heard you talk about the doe, from what I've dug up so far. So I'm just wondering, what's your interpretation of this doe that appears throughout Max's story?
Well, I always thought that the doe was, I associate does with being meek and gentle and, very docile creatures. And that kind of reminded me of Max. So I thought the doe was maybe there to like help her to feel like she was being guided somehow through this crazy situation by something in the spiritual realm to like empower her and embolden her to continue on this journey that she was having to go through.
And so I'm going to keep on the doe because I did touch on the idea of Rachel Amber. And in your story in the first game, they don't actually show what Rachel Amber, she doesn't make a physical appearance. We see pictures of her. But then in Before the Storm, we see what she looks like. There's a backstory with Chloe. Have you followed that story? What happened with her? What were your thoughts when they introduced her into another game?
I don't know exactly everything that happened in Before the Storm. I haven't played that game or watched a playthrough or anything of it yet, so I don't really know. I do know that it really dove into her relationship with Rachel.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. So I'm going to pull an interesting quote. So we spoke before episode 5, Polarized, released in 2015. And I asked you to describe how Max was in the finale, and you said, and I quote, transformation. This is an episode where Max truly comes into her own. She's operating from a place of strength, power, and self-trust. Did you feel like that applied to yourself a little bit, owing to that journey that you did with Max 5 episodes later?
On a good day, that was certainly the goal. I did feel like really close with her in terms of growing along with her as the episodes progressed, and she truly becomes a hero. And so I had to grow with her into that confidence, and that was a really wonderful, cool journey for me. And I would say that I ultimately I definitely tried to feel that way while we were working.
That's amazing. And so on the topic of episode 5, I've previously heard that you said you recorded lines for Polarized and you found it a bit difficult, specifically the darkroom segment, just recording those lines. Did you record those lines with, sorry, you said it was creepy, that it was quite creepy. Did you record those lines with Derek Phillips in the studio, or was it just you recording them?
Some of them was just me, but there we did do a dual recording session for the majority of that dialogue in episode 5 between Mr. Jefferson and Max. And that was definitely, he's just an amazing actor. So it was very creepy and very uncomfortable, but he was doing, his job as an actor, and he was making my job as an actress very easy because he was so good at like playing Mr. Jefferson that it was like very believable, and it was helpful for my performance for sure.
And so, as you said, you felt the lines were quite creepy. Was there anyone in the studio that kind of gave you support, or did you kind of like let them know about that you felt a little bit uncomfortable doing some of the lines, or it just felt a bit too much? Or did you just...
Oh no, it's just part of like it was okay. I did feel that it was creepy and uncomfortable, but that was my job as an actress, to be in that situation and to feel those feelings. So that's just part of acting. So it's no big deal. But I enjoy those moments when my fellow actors are doing such a great job that I forget we're acting. So that's a really good moment.
And you've rewatched the first game, haven't you, and or played through it since it's come out?
Yes, I have played for all 5 episodes.
So how did you feel about the ending at the 4th episode, where they reveal that Jefferson was responsible for Rachel Amber's kidnapping, and then also I believe it's Chloe gets shot at the end of it? It was kind of a big twist to throw in the middle of the 4th episode.
It was so intense. There's so many endings of the episodes where these crazy intense events take place, and then you're just like, no, what happens next? So yes, I did especially remember how like jarring that ending was, and how it's the game really has a feeling like it's real to you when you're playing it, and you're in the moment with the character's emotions, so it can be really powerful.
That's interesting. And with Max as well, I found something very interesting with her. They kind of like never come out clean about her sexuality. There's the option of like a love interest with Warren. There's the option to kiss Chloe in the game. And obviously, Dontnod have never really been shy to dabble in LGBT themes. Did you like the approach that the studio took, where they left Max's sexuality quite open and open to interpretation for the audience?
I think anything that makes a character more relatable to a broader audience is definitely something that I support, and I feel like the goal of Max for me was to instill in people her way of questioning and thinking about actions before committing them. And I feel like it's really important that everyone should feel like they can relate to her, and like they can start to examine how they interact with people in their lives and the effect of their words and actions as well. So I feel like it was really crucial for Max to be relatable to as many people as possible.
Okay. So we could be on Max all day here. And funnily enough, when I interviewed the first time around, I didn't realize that you voiced Courtney. Completely flew over my head. How did you end up landing that role along with Max?
I didn't know that I was going to be doing Courtney until I was there, and they were like, "We're going to have you do voice another character," and I think that's pretty common sometimes in games where one character will voice several other characters just to kind of lessen the load of casting, and also it's cheaper, I think. So I was very happy to get to do it. I did my best. I hope they sound different enough. At that point I didn't really have much experience doing different voices for different characters. This was my Life is Strange was my first sole voiceover job.
Okay. And obviously you're used to this doing the voice acting, but did you ever find it strange, like seeing a scene where Max is talking to Courtney and then thinking to yourself, I voiced both these characters, I'm having a conversation with myself?
It was really cool. I liked to get to see that. That was interesting.
Here's a question as well. Would Hannah Telle be a member of the Vortex Club, or would she not?
I don't know. When I was in high school, I liked to go to parties, and I was friends with everyone. So I don't know that I think that maybe I would have gone to a Vortex Club party, seen what was going on, and then either A, fallen victim to something, or B, gotten away from it. But I'm sure I would be curious. I'm a curious person, so I would want to see what it was all about. But when I got there and saw like that the people were a bit superficial and there was a lot of seedy stuff going on, I would probably get out of there quickly.
Okay. And we're sticking on these kind of like the idea where you say seedy and kind of like the hard-hitting themes of the game. When we talked 5 years ago, I asked you about the second episode and specifically the scene where Kate's about to commit suicide from the top of the school. And you gave me a really kind of like, it's such a hard-hitting scene. It relates to me. Looking back 5 years now, and obviously these themes that you're covering in the game, how did you kind of like emotionally put yourself in a mindset to do some of these scenes?
Well, I've been suicidal in my life. The scene was complex for me because I had felt those feelings before and I really related to Kate. I've also been like publicly humiliated at school before for being under the influence and doing something sexually inappropriate. So I know what it's like to bear that cross and to feel really bad about yourself and to feel like everyone thinks badly of you. And so I just try to do the scene like I wish someone would have talked to me when I was going through those emotions. So it was therapeutic for me in many ways.
Okay, I appreciate the honesty. It's really nice to hear that as well. And I think a lot of people will be really glad to hear something along those lines as well. And with Kate as well, I know that you've met Dayeanne Hutton, who I hope to have an episode very soon. And, you've built those kind of like... and you've built those kind of like relationships with people who worked on the game. Like, what was it like having that opportunity to sit in the same room with her, talk to her, kind of like, build something that's quite special from this project with other people?
It's been really great. When we first worked together, we didn't know each other very well or anything, but actors have a way of bonding really quickly and becoming like intimate in a very complex way, like right off the bat. Something special about them. And so we've just, Dayeanne and I have always stayed friends after Life is Strange, and we still hang out and talk and support each other and help each other in whatever ways we can. That's been really cool. And then also, working with Ashly, that's like what helped me get my agent my voiceover agent that I'm with right now. So just like the relationships that I made on that game are really strong and are really special.
Okay, we'll come on to Ashly in a little bit because there are a couple of interesting things to talk about her. But keeping on to your career path, so Life is Strange is done, and then 2 years later you get a green light to come back and play Max in Farewell. What was that reaction like, knowing that at least there's one more opportunity to come back and play Max in the Farewell episode?
It was a huge relief. There was a big controversy about whether or not, because of the strike, we would be able to do our roles. But luckily, I'm a part of the union in a way where I could do non-union and union work. So I was going to do it no matter what, but I hadn't heard from them. And so I was worried that they were going to hold auditions and cast somebody else. And I was really worried and sad, and I didn't want anyone else to play her because I'm really close to Max, and I wouldn't be able to, it's selfish, but I don't want anybody else to ever play her except me, because I love her.
No, it's understandable. It's like a child, isn't it?
I worked really hard on like giving her special nuances, and I just need to see her story through to the end. So I was very thankful when they got in touch and they gave me the role and we got to do it. I was very relieved, and it was a really nice thing for me to get to do, to go back to the game and work on it again. And I wish we could come back and work on it some more.
That's good. So when you came back as well, Ashly Burch came back and had the opportunity to voice Chloe. She was doing the writing at that point because of the union strikes. Were you guys recording lines at the same time?
Yes, we did do some dual recording sessions, and it was very fun. It was just like we slipped right back into the way it used to be, and it was great.
That's nice. Did you almost feel like it was a bit of a parallel of like how Max came back and met Chloe after so long, and then you met Ashly after a couple of years out and then came back? Was it just like a really special reunion to have like with that one person?
It was awesome. Yeah, it's really special doing like dual recording sessions with people. It's when you're both in the booth together, and it's very intimate, and you feel extremely connected to the other person. So it was really nice to get to come back and revisit those emotions.
That's cool. So as well, like I just said, that Ashly was writing the game, well, helping to write the game for Before the Storm, and she didn't play Chloe in the 3 episodes for Before the Storm. Did you like watch any of the gameplay from that, of like who took over from Ashly Burch, and did you feel like, that kind of like, I don't know, like, how difficult it is to kind of step up for that role because it's such an established character? Did you see any of the scenes?
I've seen some clips of playthroughs. I watched some things to kind of get a feel for the game and what had happened. I was curious to see like how she would play Chloe, and but I thought she did a great job and was really convincing. And I didn't dive too deep into Before the Storm because I read a bunch of stuff about how they're like Max isn't portrayed in the best way, and I don't know. I feel like it might make me sad. So I just like, I don't know. I'm very pro Max, and so I just like don't want to. I don't know. If take it personally, whenever like people are like, well, Max did this. And I'm like, but you don't understand. She didn't mean to. She has good intentions. It's just her heart was in the right place, but nobody's perfect. Yeah.
Oh, Max. So obviously when you came back for Before the Storm, you were working with Deck 9 for the game and Dontnod weren't working on it. What was that like working with a different studio on Life is Strange?
It was not that different because the voiceover director was the same.
Right.
So we had the voiceover director is who you interact with the most when you're in the booth. And so it was the same person, Philip Bach, and so that was great to work with him again, and it felt very seamless in terms of, coming back to it and getting it took some time, of course, to like get readjusted into the role again and to, figure out how we were going to portray her a little younger, but overall it was very helpful to have him there.
Okay. So Life is Strange is done, and then you follow a career in music. I saw you drop albums. Within those music tracks, was there anything inspired by Max or Life is Strange specifically that you kind of blended into the music?
There's I'm definitely influenced by a lot of the artists that appeared on the Life is Strange soundtrack season for my season. Mm-hmm. And I was going through a lot of emotions during the time of personal emotions through the time when we were making Life is Strange. And then what happened after Life is Strange in terms of my career slowing down in acting, I wrote a lot about that, like what it was like to have something and then kind of lose it or feel like it's time to walk away from something because can be considered insanity to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result when you're dealing with constant rejection from auditioning. And so I write a lot about like that world of acting, definitely.
Okay, so you mentioned a couple of points that we're going to bring up now. So you did Tim's Twitter listening party, and one of the tweets you said that you hit a high point with Max and then things started to unravel after the story arc finished with her character. Did you feel that specifically after the first game ended or after Before the Storm finished?
I would say that when the first game ended, I had a lot of hope and I was really excited for my future. I had some on-camera work that was just coming out and being shown in film festivals, and that was very thrilling for me. I had just gotten some new representation for acting, and everything seemed like the doors were all open to me. I didn't get any on-camera auditions from my new agent, and I got very, very many voiceover auditions, great voiceover auditions, but didn't book any. I booked one McDonald's singing commercial, which was great to do, but like a radio spot of singing about sausage burritos. I'm a vegetarian, but I wasn't booking anything, and that was just it was really hard. So when they got in touch with when they cast somebody else to play Chloe, and then I thought they were going to cast somebody else to play Max, I was just distraught. I was devastated. I was like, please, to my agent, don't let them cast, like, tell them to cast me. I'll do anything. He worked really hard to, like, I don't know if they were going to reach out. I don't know. I hope. But I was scared. It's such a fickle business. Like, and I was always worried, like, were they happy with Max in the first place? Some people don't like Max. And so it's just, it was hard. But I felt like when I got to come back to play her again, that was a very high moment for me. I was very thankful for that. So that was very helpful for me.
If it makes you feel any reassuring, I like Max. I think she's really cool. So when you said then as well, like you weren't booking roles, was there a specific reason behind that, or was it just things popped
I
up?
don't know. You know, it was my first. I don't. I think it was a combination of things. I think that I was depressed because I didn't have a job anymore, and I need like a role and a job to be happy, to keep me going in a way as an actress. At that time, I did. I'm a little bit better now. I rely more on music to keep me going now. But yeah, it was. I don't know. What was the question again? Sorry.
It was like, how come you weren't specifically booking some of the roles? You said that you'd
Oh,
received them.
I feel like I don't know. A lot of things I was going out for were very high energy, upbeat characters, and it was a struggle for me to get myself to that level of energy because I was very depressed, and I just like I don't know. I don't know why I wasn't. I hope I start. I just started auditioning again after a long break.
Fair enough. That's reasonable. And during that Twitter admission, I think like I read something else where you said you felt quote unquote washed up and hated after ending up with a job in the farmers market. You obviously talked about not eating meat as well. And then you said that you went back to school and started studying to cover up failures as an actor. Do you still feel that way now? And does this mean that you're away from acting, or are you going to stick with it? You said that you've got a role, that you are going back into it a little bit, but do you think that it was a bit too strong to admit that then, or did you feel like you were right about saying that?
Well, I think that definitely at the time I went back to school because I had so much time on my hands where I was just working a job that I hated and then doing audition after audition. It takes a lot of time to prepare for each audition and to do each audition. And it was just hundreds of them and it was going nowhere. I just felt like a total failure. I don't think I felt hated. I think I felt like I hated myself because I felt like a failure because I had never in my life not booked before. I usually will, it'll take me some time, but I'll book a job eventually. But it just wasn't happening. And I couldn't take it. And I needed something to do. And I decided that I wanted to learn more and expand my mind and get a really in-depth education. And so I definitely went back to try to make up for the fact that I dropped out of college in the first place, 12 years ago. And also to make up for the fact that I was just, repetitively striking out at the bat when I would go up to do my job that I had spent my whole life preparing to do. So it was really hard for me to deal with, but school was very helpful because it's very therapeutic to learn and to read and to be taught and to be graded on your work, because if you do a good job, you get good grades. There's no catch. And so that's like, it helped me regain respect for myself being in school and helped me to feel competent as an adult. Not like, because I think that before that I was a bit scatterbrained and all over the place, and I had to really pull myself together and learn time management and get caught up with my classmates and become start working towards becoming a professional. And being a professional actor is much different than being a professional something else. It's different. So it was a big adjustment, but I'm very happy that I did this. And I think that going back to school helped me to realize that I do want to continue acting. I want to get a job when I graduate and part-time and continue, hopefully if I can, and still continue to act. I just reached back out to my voiceover agent and just started doing voiceover auditions at the beginning of quarantine. So we'll see if something happens, but I don't know.
Any of those gaming?
A lot of them are games. Mm-hmm.
Okay, there we go. Hannah Telle's back in business. So actually, before we go on to the next question as well, I just want to ask you this because you said that you went back to school. And has anyone ever stopped you in public and been like, I kind of know who you are just from Life is Strange, the voice? Or has anyone ever like spotted you in public?
Well, when I first went back to school, I went to two different community colleges, and I was just studying music just for fun. And at the end of my semester, someone in my songwriting class came up to me and they were like, "Are you Max?" I was like, "Yes, how did you know?" I was so stoked. It was really cool. But at USC, where I'm studying neuroscience, nobody knows who I am. No, they don't know anything about me. I'm just like this girl who looks a little old.
That must be like really like a great sense of gratification from that person coming up to you and being like, "Are you the voice of Max?" And you're like,
it was great. I loved it. It was great. It made me feel wonderful.
That's really cool. So kind of going back, and this is the kind of last part of the Twitter admissions, you said that you open up with difficulties about mental health, and I know it's a really hard subject to open up about, and you said that you moved back with family in North Carolina because you felt suicidal. You said that songwriting and studying neuroscience helped you see it in a different light. And how important do you feel that was to share that personal experience with people? Because I know it's not easy to never talk about something like this.
Well, several reasons. I think whenever I hear that somebody else that is struggling with problems like mental health issues, and they're also doing something that I want to do, like in the arts per se, like that's very reassuring to me. It makes me feel like, oh, well, if they have this issue and they're able to work with it and still accomplish something that is interesting to me, then, I feel like that's empowering to me.
Mm-hmm.
Another reason is because I feel I guess I feel I need to explain myself. It weighs really heavy on my shoulders, like the day-to-day life of dealing with depression. I have to take some pretty intense medications that cause me to feel super weak and tired, and it's just like they work and help me to function and be happy and to do what I need to do to survive, but there's a toll, and so it's like on my conscience every day, and like navigating my emotions and staying stable and productive is like it takes a lot of work for me, as I'm sure it does for a lot of people. But I guess I don't know how to separate at this particular time in my life. I don't know how to separate myself from that struggle. So like when people ask me about my music, like my music is what I use as to express my emotions about my sadness and about my feelings. And so when people say like, well, what's your music about? Well, my music's about struggling with depression and feeling unloved and feeling like you're not enough, and like navigating those emotions and like finding beauty in the world despite how brutal it can be, I guess.
Okay. No, thank you for opening up about that as well. I do appreciate hearing that. I'm going to just deviate from the final couple of questions because I've got one or two to ask. And the first one is, I've kind of heard you say different things about the ending of Life is Strange. One where it's like, I would save Arcadia Bay or I'd save Chloe. But for my show, definitively, I want Hannah Telle to answer the question, would she save Arcadia Bay or would she save Chloe Price?
Well, I started out saying I would save Arcadia Bay, and then I said no, I would save Chloe because I never experienced like what it was like to love someone so much that was outside of my family. So once I had experienced that, and I knew there was no way I could ever sacrifice that person that's as close to me as Chloe is to Max. So I definitely saved Chloe, even though it's a really hard decision, and I feel really bad for everybody in the town.
Well, you say really that. Bad. Well, you say that, but I went straight for Chloe and saved her in that game. No hesitation. I was like, right, that's me sorted. I didn't even like, but that's me personally.
I get it.
Yeah. So, and another one as well, like you've been to conventions, you've had, I know what Life is Strange community is like with people messaging you, like reaching out to you. What's it been like always having that like support network built around you of people who have like adored you since the first game, who have like shared experiences with you? Has there been like any really like specific memorable instances with like any fans where you like it genuinely like really heartwarming for you?
Oh my God. Yeah, sorry. It makes me cry. Yes, it's been life-changing. Like every second of it is life-changing. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
Like when I go to conventions and people come up to, I've only been to like one or two, but when I go and people come up to me, it's like, it's so crazy. Like they were affected by something that I got to help be a part of, and it feels amazing, and it just like gratifies every audition that I ever did that didn't go anywhere, or like every rejection I ever had just like fades away when someone comes up to me and says like that they enjoyed the game. And so I love every second of it. Sorry, I'm very like, if they cry, I'm crying. It's like I get it. The game is, I feel it too, and it's just yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
I know, I understand the passion for it. It shows like with everything that you've said so far, so I completely understand about it. So it's going to sound like a stupid question. I've tried to rephrase it because if I say you're going to come back and play Max, you'd say yes. But instead, like, you know, that opportunity comes up to come back and play Max. They continue the story arc on in another Life is Strange game. Like, where would you want Max to be? Would you want to play an older Max? Would you want to play the Max straight after the first game? Like, paint to me the perfect scenario. Hannah Telle comes back to Max Caulfield. Where is she at that point in her life?
Wow. I'll anywhere that they would want her to be, I would be happy to play her. But if they wanted me to like help figure out where she might be, I just always saw Max going into music and playing in a band with Chloe if they chose to stay, if you chose in the game to stay together. And I always just imagined them navigating the music scene together, and also like Max would continue her photography with like photographing other bands around the scene. And I saw Chloe like doing tattoos and like just like them experiencing life in this bohemian music world, but then also navigating like the dark side of that, you know, because there is a dark side to the music world, and there's room for, I think, Max and Chloe to make a difference.
Oh, that's interesting. So before you go as well, I thought of one more question. So and I know that you said that Max is your child, but I'm going to paint you a scenario. Hannah Telle becomes the casting director for the Life is Strange movie. Who would she cast as Max Caulfield in the film? You can't pick yourself either.
Okay. Well, I would pick, I don't know that many. Let me think. I don't know. Maybe Emma Watson, I guess. She kind of looks like Max. Like if she had short hair, she sort of has like a Max-ish face, I guess. I don't know. It's a really tough question. Who would you pick?
I'm not too sure, to be honest. It's quite a hard one. It's because it's such a because like whenever I hear the character, I always think of you because it's just that is the character. Because of that sweet innocent voice about her, it's like it's really hard to pick someone. Can't believe you just flipped this into me.
I just thought maybe you had an idea or something.
I think I'd probably pick Ashly Burch to play her, and then cast you as Chloe Price just to make a funny moment out of it.
That'd be crazy.
But yeah, so that's the interview. Thank you, Hannah, for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. I really enjoyed being here.
No, I'm glad. So thank you, everyone, for watching. There'll be more episodes to come. I had a great opening episode with easily the best guest I could have hoped for. And we'll catch you in the next episode. See you later.